Hi guys, today I have Mahim with me, and he has lived in USA for a few years, and he will be sharing his views and his experience while he stay in US, and we will compare that to India later on. Hi Mahim, welcome. So I will start by asking how and when did you visit the US?
Hi Yuvraj. First of all, I really enjoy your content. Nowadays, it's getting pro-India, and I really love that because I think there's this whole consciousness getting awakened of Indians by the Indians for the Indians, which I really love. Now, I'll tell about my US experience. I visited US for a couple of years, 6 years exactly from 2013 to 19. I came back in 19. I went there for my master's, graduate studies, and most of the time I spent in Detroit, majority of my time, and exploring Michigan, exploring the US culture in general, North American culture, and wanted to see if that American dream is still true or not. And I visited Chicago a couple of times, and it's interesting that you mentioned Chicago because we were just discussing this spectrum thing, right? That it's relevant everywhere, and you get a lot of if you stay out and if you wander around in the night, you'll end up in a lot of Chicago places, Chicago areas, which you're not supposed to visit. Yeah, they're not safe and they smell.
They smell
I
too?
hate to break your heart.
Mr. Nick, listen to this.
I hate to break your heart, but they smell. And but there are spectrums of places from left to right. If you go anywhere in Detroit, you have ghettos, you have neighborhoods which are not so clean, not so hygienic, and not so safe. But you have really, really marvelous places in Detroit where if you go, you just keep your eyes wide open and you see the glory of Detroit there.
Right.
But I think that's true for every city, every country, every area. You have good and bad shades of gray there. It's not black and white, so you cannot just paint one country with any country with just one generic stroke that it smells everywhere and it's beautiful everywhere in the US. So these statements I don't find they're true.
But before you went to USA, as you said in 2013, what was it like? What was your perception about USA and what people talk about what USA is in India? And was it true when you actually landed there?
Okay. So my perception, we have all grown up watching movies from the West, right? So my perception comprised of two things. Earlier half of this perception was built from the Western movies, right? What we see, all the ranging from American Pie to all the Bond movies. So I'm covering all the things. And then the second part of the perspective was based on actual reactions, actual stories from friends and relatives who stayed there.
Okay.
So I was fortunate that I knew both the truths. It's not, we are again talking about knowing both the sides of a coin, right? What's good there, what's bad there, what can go wrong, what can go right for you. So I had my perceptions clear that everything is not lush green there, as it's true anywhere in the world. Like when I saw around myself, I didn't see that if you tried to become more and more Americanized or Westernized, it was looked down upon.
Well, it's strange because nowadays, since I posted that video and I dive more into that issue, the racism and the hate thing. One of the things was Indians go everywhere and they do not assimilate into the country. I'm like, that is strange. We are trying to be just ourselves. We celebrate our festivals here, and people are pissed off because of that as well. Because we try to be ourselves, people hate us. We try to assimilate into the culture, people hate that as well. So it was like two conflicting sides for me. That's why I decided to connect to people to who might be able to tell me more truth from the ground zero itself. I have heard this from Canadians, like people down south means the states, or maybe Toronto area. So people down south are cocky. The Canadians have told me this, and I myself have found that Canadians are mostly polite. They will help you, and even you might have heard this yourself. Like, Canadians are
There are
the
a lot of
first ones to
jokes that
say sorry, or I am so sorry. They will
right.
open the door for you.
They're very polite, they're very generous.
So even I have experienced this. So what was your experience? Did you face any racial behavior or any harassment in the USA?
Okay. Yuvraj, it's funny that you mention this hate thing, that when we try to be ourselves, we are hated. When we try to become them, we are getting a lot of hate. But when I was there in Michigan, I had a lot of friends which were locals there, like
Okay.
born and brought up in USA, or they have come from other parts of US to Detroit to get their college degrees and everything. And I had a good fortune of connecting with them on a deeper level than just superficial. And what I found out was it's not as much of a hate, then it is a disconnect. So they are not hating on us, they are just disconnected from us. Once you connect with them, once you tell them, like, this is Diwali, this is the color of the festival of lights, this is Holi, the festival of colors, we play loud music. And Americans are themselves by nature, they are loud people. You go anywhere in the world, Italians, complain a lot that Americans are the loudest tourists and the most obnoxious people on earth. So these stereotypes, they are some way right, they are some way wrong. But I have seen this in general, that they don't hate us, and they don't hate us that much, but they are more disconnected to our culture. Once you try to connect them to our culture, right, and you see that things are getting better then after getting connected with them. So it's not much of a hate, then it's a disconnect, I would say. These trigger videos, as we see them floating around the internet,
Yeah.
right? So this is the trigger theory. You might have heard of this disc theory. So as soon as the viewership on your channels drop, right, you might have seen a lot of Americans doing reaction videos to South Indian movies, to Telugu movies, to Indian movies in general. As
Everybody is
soon
doing
as
it.
the views,
Everybody, and all of them are like
yeah,
Americans. Everybody, you pick
right,
everything, even the street food reviews. They are just
street food videos,
reacting to those videos,
the snack videos, snack
snacks,
tasting videos,
videos of even movie trailers. They don't they
movie trailers,
started doing
reaction
that,
videos.
right?
So we come with the power of 1.4 billions, right? They just want to try and harness. They just want to tap into that viewership
Right, right.
that we have, 1.4 billion people. So it's either by connecting with us or by dissing us. So these diss videos, what they do is they trigger people like you and me, who are aware of both the truths,
Right.
who know what US is like, who know where to not go in US, because the things are not safe there. It's a whole spectrum, as we say. If you move from left to right, worst to best, you get all types of cities and all types of places, and that's true for all the countries, right?
Right.
So these are the people there are some people who are doing these for views. That is one type of people. There are the second type that do not actually know, like, to be honest, they cannot even point India on the map of the world.
Correct.
They don't know where India is, right? So they are ignorant people. They are just in a hangover of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They are just picking up content of the 70s and 80s content creators, which were stand-up comedians there in the American culture. And what idea they had of India, they are just playing to that. There are a lot of morons that are still giving them claps and views there, right? So they are just catering to that audience who is ignorant, who is not aware of where India is right now and where the world is right now. They're just stuck in the prehistoric idea.
So is this the
These are the
audience
second
that graduated from the Instagram university?
from the TikTok university.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They're still experiencing India from the stories they have heard from
Right.
someone who visited India in the 70s. They
Okay.
might not even have a passport ready to travel anywhere, because their worldview is just the city that they're living in US. They love the smell of food. I have not seen any Indian restaurant which offers a buffet on Sunday with more people than authentic Americans. and when I say Americans, it's the whites and the blacks both. Every ethnicity that's living there, they love the smell of our food. They cling to the pav bhaji, the paneer butter masala, the fish tikka, chicken tikkas, even the simplest of things like khichdi, or
Wow.
they just love the smell of spices, right? Now, when they say that it smells bad, it's either their own, what do we call it? How to say that in a better way? A preconceived notion,
Right, right.
but which they are coming from, and they're really ignorant about their own city. There might be parts in the city where the smell is really bad. Now, it doesn't look good when I say that, because I understand that it's just that area, and it can get better with time, and it's not a permanent thing. It's not something you should associate a city or a country with, the smell of the city. That's
Exactly.
really low IQ
That's
thinking,
why I made that video, because that idiot labeled Delhi as the whole of India, and he literally mentioned the entire country smells like shit. And I was like, nobody has replied to him yet, so I need to do it because I have seen both the countries, or maybe I have seen at least the North American culture.
I can take you to enough areas in Michigan which smell like shit, and they're not the restrooms. Uh, that being said, I still, hesitate to do that, because associating a country or a place with the smell, and then just dissing on the audience to get viewership or views, or if not the viewership or views, if you're that unaware of the world around you, then there's no point discussing these people.
Exactly,
It's
exactly.
it's
That
it's
was
just
the difference, because most, if you ask any American on Instagram or on social media, what they will say is India is poor, unhygienic, or like that. But even if you ask the basic layman of India, tell me something about America, what they will say is, oh, there are, high-rise buildings, they have this and that, they have so many, cleanliness. That's the difference how we see USA.
But both are ignorant. Yeah, but both are ignorant. Both do not know the other side of that place, right?
Exactly,
As we said,
exactly.
the whole spectrum. They're just coming from one extreme idea. They don't know that there exist two extremes, and there is a lot of gray in between 0 and 1. It's not binary. No country's idea is binary.
So coming to the point of those, people doing stand-up comedies. So one thing I've noticed since childhood is how they portray the Indian accent. Of course, we have
Of
different
course.
accent, but we obviously
Uh,
do not talk like that. Obviously, we do not talk like that. You can see the difference.
and even if I do, that's how I am, right? Like, मैं जैसा हूँ वैसा हूँ यार. Like, deal with it.
Right, right.
And there are a lot of anecdotes and things that Americans do, like what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. No, I
You know,
don't know
saying,
what you're saying.
yeah, this line I
Please
noticed
do.
one.
No,
Every
it's
they
be more
repeat this
articulate
after,
for
yeah,
God's sake.
after
You know
every
what I'm
line. You know
saying?
what I'm
I don't
saying?
know
You know
what
what
you're
I'm
saying.
saying? It's like
You know
that.
what I'm saying? I don't know what you're saying. Be more articulate. Have some more vocabulary, and then explain it to me, like how I'm doing it to you. So there are a lot of things that we can make fun of, but let's try and be more evolved in our way of comedy. I know I sound very philosophical right now,
No, but
but
this is
I don't
actually the
know.
message, today's world needs, because social media and all the advancements have made the brain function less and less every day. It's like people
Oh,
are
that's another problem. That's
behaving
another
like
problem.
dumb species wherever I go. So just be you, and people need
Insta
these ones.
zombies. You want to use the word insta zombies?
Insta zombies, okay. Yeah, there was
So
WhatsApp
yeah, so
University, there was TikTok University, and there's new Insta zombies.
so one must really travel to
Or
explore.
like, mm, we are talking about Russell Peters here, and whenever I come across one of his videos, I am mentally ready that he will say something about India, and when he doesn't, even though I hate him, I feel disappointed. Oh man, where was India? I was ready for it, but this is the type of content he makes, which is actually good. But my problem is with how they portray it so many times that the ignorant people actually think of India like that. Because he there was one of Russell Peters' video. He was actually talking in Hindi or English mix. He mentioned two words. One is Paji and one is Beta. So it was a mom joke, and mom was saying something to her son in Hindi. We say Beta. And everywhere I read to, nowadays is a white person commenting, don't be, you can pick any topic. Don't be angry, Paji. Don't be angry, Beta. I'm like, you just know two words and don't know the backstory. You don't even know the meaning of these words, and you are mocking, Indians by, using that comedy.
Even like if you're talking about smell is a very subjective thing. I think
Yeah.
I hate the smell of bacon. I hate the smell of the beef. I cannot stand it. But they love it.
Yeah.
That's funny to me.
Correct. It is subjective.
I mean, I don't know if they would watch Dil Dhadakne Do versus Slumdog Millionaire. What would gain more views from the Americans?
Slumdog
From the
Millionaire,
West?
obviously. Yeah.
Slumdog Millionaire, right? Because it plays to the tunes that they have. It plays to the ideas of the confirmations that they already have. That's what we call confirmation bias, right? They go and watch more content which reaffirms their belief which already exists with them.
Exactly what's happening on Instagram. They see more of it, more of the unhygienic videos on Indian
More
street
of the
food,
poverty porn.
and
That's what
that
they call
reaffirms
it.
them that okay, this country is like that, and I am right about what I'm thinking. Yeah. So what would you say about this online hate going on? Put aside India or USA, people can openly bully or openly harass anybody because there's no action taken on online comments. So what is your take
Right,
on
you can
this?
say. My take is a very neutral one. I think that if it's good if it's done in a healthy way. You take a piss on my culture. I take a piss on your culture. There are a lot of things that we find funny in the Western culture. You think that there are a lot of things in our culture that you find funny. Go ahead, have a fun. You post a comment. A lot of people like that, but don't base your opinions based on that joke.
Right.
Is what I would say. See for yourself.
Yeah, because it becomes like other people see it and they start copying it and commenting the same thing on other posts. That's how misinformation spreads.
Also, the connect and disconnect and the hatred thing. I'll give you a lot of examples that a lot of people start. They don't know that they hate it. They're just disconnected from it. So once they get assimilated into the culture, once they know, okay, this is the culture of sweets, this is the culture of lights, this is how you celebrate it. No one is more excited in a Garba evening than a white guy or a black
Oh
guy.
yeah, I've
Not
seen
in the
this.
papers. You have seen that,
Yeah,
right?
right.
You've experienced that firsthand. So they're really, until the time that they're brought in and they're shown how to do it, they'll hate on it. But that is disconnection, wearing the mask of hate. It's not a hate as much as it's a disconnect from the culture. Once you try to bring them in, they'll start loving the culture more than us. They'll be going around in circles in Garba, more happily, in a more excited way than an average Indian guy.
And I have a question for the viewers as well. Like, many people commented like our country was just fine before it started going downhill when they started importing that third world stuff. And I replied to that guy, it's not the third world stuff, it's your third grade mentality. So I would just leave it to you guys. Do you think it's real, or were there really no problems before the immigrants came in? Were the countries all perfect? Let me know your thoughts.